Welcome back to another Essential Recap. Today we will be taking a look at a story called Deadly Sorority.
So you think that I killed her?
I think someone did.
The beginning scene focuses on two girls, Tanya and Jubilee, in a library. Jubilee cautions Tanya to get back to her sorority as it's getting late. In the other scene, someone appears to Tanya and, you guessed it, kills her. 4 months later, two newcomers, Kristina and Samantha, arrive at a university campus. They move into their dorm and set things up. Samantha introduces herself to Victor, a teacher assistant in a class of Professor Smith. The other class is going on in which Professor Thomas gives a brief introduction to history. With the progressing scenes, the introduction of new classes continues. Now the girls are sitting in a class with Professor Justin Miller. Let's see what awaits us. Samantha, otherwise Sam, and Kristina, otherwise Chris, decide to join a sorority. Sam also starts recording a video diary as an assigned task for her subject. Inside the sorority, Jubilee introduces herself as president of Delta Nu Sorority Girls. Jubilee takes a quick introduction to Chris. Sam disappears from the scene and introduces herself to Bree, a sorority girl. Upon seeing the memorial portrait of Tanya, Sam asks about her. Bree tells her that she disappeared into the woods and nobody saw her again. A mystery exists for sure. Chris gets delighted in the next scene when she finds herself a part of the sorority, but she's not happy with the absence of Sam's name on the list. Sam assures her that she will stay in the dorm as she is happy for her. A new character enters the scene. A smart guy, Paul, introduces himself to Chris and Sam. The next day, Chris moves to the sorority, but Sam feels strange for not getting let into the sorority by Jubilee. Also, Chris changes her behavior towards Sam. She tells Sam that she is not allowed by the sorority to talk to her due to her audacious commentary. Upon asking about dinner, Chris tells Sam that she has a date with Paul. Something is up with Chris. After taking the class of Professor Thomas, Chris expresses her annoyance with the professor. Sam offers her support, but Chris denies it and recommends her to stay away for some time until she fits in the sorority. Ouch, hurts, doesn't it? Back in the dorm, Victor appears in the dorm room and asks about her distraction in class. She tells him about her adjusting problem as a newcomer. A sequence of mini scenes appears in which Chris and Sam are attending their classes separately. Here comes the action-packed part of the movie. Sam gets kidnapped from a locker room by some unknown people. She is tied by a tree while her face is covered with a sack. She hears some voice which warns her to stay away from Chris, as she is a part of the sorority now. Upon which she says the name of Tanya. Oh God, it's Jubilee. She asks her what she knows about Tanya. She only knows that she disappeared. The sorority girls disappear from the scene. While Sam keeps going with her video recordings, records that she feels alone sometimes. Poor and alone Sam. Chris enters the classroom and sits with Sam. Sam asks to spare time for tonight to have some gossip, but Chris, as usual, makes excuses. Sam takes a bold step and goes to the sorority to find Chris. She tells Bree to not mess with her as she knows who is behind her abduction, and she can report this matter. Good one, Sam. While driving the car, Chris answers a phone call from Sam and apologizes for her absence today. She promises to talk about it tomorrow. No, a big no, seriously? Chris gets stopped by someone. They drag Chris out of the car and kills her. Chris is dead, it can't be. Meanwhile, Sam calls Chris for 2 days, but she doesn't respond. Why would a dead person respond? Detective Lopes appears on the scene when she asks Sam to come with her to talk about Chris. Poor Sam, it is not good news. Detective asks Sam when she was last in touch with Chris. She tells her that Chris's car has been seen abandoned on the roadside. She is missing. Sam answers that maybe she was going on a date with Paul. In another interrogation held with Paul, he tells them that they both broke up and he doesn't know where she is. The next turn is for Jubilee. She accuses Sam of Chris's disappearance. She says that Sam always follows Chris everywhere. The suspicion is on Sam now. Bree appears with a security camera record to show that Sam threatened her to see Chris. On which Sam clears that she was just there to see Chris as she had some big news to tell her. All the arrows are pointing towards Sam. She lost her best friend and she doesn't know. The police found Chris's body, so Sam comes to know about the death of her best friend. She cries while holding her picture in her dorm. Someone knocks on the door. Just as she opens and sees a skeleton with the note "Murderer" hanging from the door. Someone is harassing her. Victor appears in her room to console her about Kristina. Sam tells Victor that everyone is suspecting her of Chris's death. In the next scene, Sam appears to Paul to talk about Chris as someone has murdered her. But their chat ends up in nothing. While sitting in the class, Sam rewatches one of the recorded videos in which Chris is standing behind her. Back in her dorm, Sam plays her video again, but could not find anything related to Chris. The next day, Sam appears to Lopez, telling her that everybody is suspecting her of some involvement in Chris's death. Jubilee and other sorority girls have manipulated the students. Not right with Sam. Lopez tells Sam they think that Chris's car was stopped intentionally by someone. It may be possible that she knew the victim. Thinks Sam, who could it be? Sam asks Victor for help in playing that video again, in which Sam is trying to find a real suspect. Victor warns her to be careful in what she is doing. Sam goes to Jubilee and asks for Bree, as she took a photo of Bree last Monday behind Sam when she was recording her video. Jubilee tells her that Bree has left the sorority. Again, no clues to collect poor Sam. Sam appears to Paul again to find a reason behind their breakup, but comes up with nothing other than false arguments. Sam goes on with her investigations. She hits Bree's room and asks her about the issue with Jubilee and the sorority. Bree tells that she was thrown off the sorority due to her boyfriend. Upon asking about the photo taken by Jubilee, Bree shows her photograph in which Chris is standing with Professor Miller. Possibly Sam has found her suspect. No rush until the climax comes. Just like I said, Sam runs to Paul again but finds him lying unconscious on the bed with some sleeping pills nearby. While talking about Paul to Lopez, she tells her about a suicide note she found, in which he states that he loved Chris and couldn't live without her, so he murdered her. With this guilt, he committed a suicide attempt. However, the keyboard on his computer had been wiped clean. So Detective Lopez still suspects Sam as she was threatening Paul right after Chris's death. Sam has to face it all, but we still have to wait until the real suspect comes. Sam tells Lopez about the picture in which Professor Miller is standing with Chris, and maybe Chris had an interest in Miller. Now Sam is also accused of Paul's suicide attempt. In the next scene, Paul's friends start following her as they suspect she was the cause of Paul's suicide attempt, and she gets help from Professor Miller, who then escorts her to her dorm. Talking about Chris, Sam does not find out anything from the professor. He offers his help whenever she needs it. Miller is acting very suspicious. We have to wait for some more unfolding of the next scenes. Sam is so sure of Miller as a suspect. She talks to Victor when he tells her that gossips say that Professor Miller had an affair with Tanya. Sam tells Victor that it is not a coincidence that first Tanya disappeared and now the death of Chris. Victor warns her to stay away from Miller. Sam goes on her continued mission to find the suspect. In the following scene, Sam is running from the ghostly voice of someone calling her name. She gets caught by someone. Suddenly, Sam is lying on a couch in front of Professor Thomas and tells her that she was found unconscious on the ground. Sam tells her that she remembers someone was following her. Thomas asked about Miller talking to Sam in front of her dorm, but Sam clears that he escorted her to the dorm only. Thomas advises Sam to report to police the latest incident, as she has been followed. Sam denies reporting the incident. Sam goes to Bree again to talk about Professor Miller. She comes to know about another affair between Professor Miller and Professor Smith. Much more to digest. She denies it when Sam asks her to go to the police. Sam tricks Miller to meet her and steals his cell phone. While reading the chat between Chris and Miller, Jubilee follows her and snatches the mobile and throws it in the water. What does Jubilee have to do with it? Victor informs Sam that police are looking for her to arrest as Bree told police that Sam is threatening her. Ah, what a scam. Victor and Sam plan to tell Professor Thomas, the wife of Miller, about his relationship with Chris. Sam approaches Thomas at her house. She tells her about the extramarital affairs of her husband, but to her surprise, Thomas already knows. She tells her that she knows about her husband's nature. What is going on? Thomas gets furious while defending her husband by labeling his flirting nature as a disease. Her movement terrifies Sam. She throws tea at her and runs into the woods. Sam runs away for her life while Miller goes after her. Wait, who comes after Sam instead? Any guess? Yes, Jubilee, you're right. She was the real suspect whom I was thinking about. Jubilee attacks Sam with a knife. Now Jubilee spits her reason behind the killings, and the reason is Professor Miller. She confesses her love for him, and she killed Tanya and Chris for his sake. What a psycho person she is. Miller approaches them and tricks Jubilee by taking a knife from her hand, which she is pointing at Sam's neck. Another entry comes into the scene as Victor hits Miller's head from the back, while Sam struggles and hits Jubilee as revenge for Chris. The ending scene uplifts the curtain when Miller tells Lopez about his relationship with Jubilee for a short time. After that, she became psychotically obsessed with Miller. Here comes the good news. Jubilee gets arrested. Miller's cell phone is handed to the police, as they will decide about him. Thomas apologizes to Sam for creating the drama and calling the police to arrest her. Lopes also apologizes for accusing Sam every time. If you are looking for a suspenseful film, I will strongly recommend watching this film. I bet you can't guess the actual killer till the end in the movie. All praise goes with the direction of the movie. The viewers will suspect every character of the movie until they'll meet the real one. Overall character building also makes this film worth watching. The end is exquisite when viewers will find out that virtue always wins over sinful. Thanks for watching another essential recap. Please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe.